In the digital age, where information is exchanged at the speed of light, one might think that technology is a tool that brings us closer together. However, beneath the surface lies a complex web of algorithms designed not just to connect, but to provoke. Welcome to the world of social media, where the currency of attention is often traded for the cost of our collective sanity. This is Inside the Rage Machine. The phenomenon known as the rage economy has emerged as a critical driver behind the increasingly polarized discourse that dominates online platforms. But how did we get here? The journey begins with the very algorithms that curate our digital lives. These algorithms, designed to maximize user engagement and time spent on platforms, have an insidious side. They often prioritize content that elicits strong emotional reactions, particularly anger and outrage. Historically, social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube were built on the promise of creating global communities and facilitating open dialogue. Their algorithms were initially crafted to sort through vast amounts of content, ensuring that users saw the most relevant and engaging posts. However, as these platforms matured, so did the sophistication of their algorithms. Engagement metrics, such as likes, shares, and comments, became the lifeblood of these systems, guiding them to serve content that kept users glued to their screens. What these algorithms quickly discovered is that nothing captures attention quite like controversy. Content that sparks outrage is more likely to be shared, commented on, and spread across networks, thus keeping users engaged for longer periods. This led to a feedback loop where the most incendiary material continually rose to the top of news feeds, perpetuating cycles of anger and division. Research has shown that this type of content manipulation is not just theoretical, it has tangible effects on real-world behavior. According to a study conducted by Data and a Society, a think tank focused on the social implications of data-centric technologies, exposure to extreme and divisive content online is linked to increased political polarization and radicalization. The study found that individuals who frequently consume such content are more likely to develop extreme views and exhibit hostile behavior towards those with differing opinions. The impact of these algorithms extends beyond individual users, influencing the broader societal discourse. As the demand for sensational and polarizing content grows, media organizations and content creators are incentivized to produce material that taps into these emotions. This has led to a proliferation of clickbait headlines, misleading information, and sensationalized news stories that further fuel the cycle of outrage. Moreover, the effects of these algorithms are not confined to any single platform or demographic. They operate across a range of social media sites, affecting users of all ages, backgrounds, and political affiliations. This ubiquity raises serious questions about the ethical responsibilities of tech companies in managing the content their algorithms promote. The concept of the rage economy highlights a critical tension within the tech industry: the pursuit of profit versus the societal impact of their products. Platforms earn substantial revenues from advertising, which is directly tied to user engagement. As a result, there is an inherent incentive to prioritize engagement above all else, even when it comes at the cost of social cohesion and public discourse. Despite growing awareness of the issue, efforts to reform these practices have been met with significant challenges. Social media companies often cite the complexity of their algorithms and the sheer volume of content as barriers to more effective moderation. Additionally, regulating the algorithms themselves poses a difficult ethical dilemma, balancing the need for free expression against the potential harm caused by unchecked, divisive content. These concerns have prompted calls for greater transparency and accountability from tech giants. Advocacy groups, policymakers, and researchers alike are demanding that companies disclose more information about how their algorithms work and the criteria used to prioritize content. There is also a push for platforms to implement more robust measures to identify and mitigate the spread of harmful or misleading information. As the world grapples with the implications of the rage economy, it becomes increasingly clear that understanding and addressing the role of social media algorithms is crucial to fostering a healthier, more informed society. The stakes are high, and the path forward is fraught with complexity and controversy. Yet amidst the challenges, there is a growing recognition that change is possible. The conversation around these issues is gaining momentum, sparking debates that reach into the heart of modern democracy and the very essence of communication in the digital age. As we delve deeper into the workings of the rage machine, it is essential to examine the multifaceted layers of influence these algorithms exert on our world. The intricate dance between social media algorithms and user behavior has not only shaped the digital landscape, but has also influenced the political and social fabric of societies worldwide. At the heart of this transformation are the powerful algorithms that have the ability to predict, and in many ways, manipulate human behavior. One of the most vivid illustrations of this phenomenon is the 2016 US presidential election. As documented in numerous investigations, social media platforms played a pivotal role in disseminating misinformation and amplifying divisive content. This period marked a turning point, highlighting how algorithm-driven content could sway public opinion and potentially influence democratic processes. Cambridge Analytica, a political consulting firm, infamously exploited data from millions of Facebook users to craft highly targeted political advertisements. This showcased the dark potential of data-driven manipulation. But the story of algorithmic influence is not confined to the United States. Across Europe, similar patterns have emerged, particularly during key political events such as Brexit. Studies have shown that misinformation campaigns, often driven by algorithmic amplification, contributed to the polarization of public opinion on the United Kingdom's exit from the European Union. These campaigns were meticulously designed to tap into existing societal divisions, further entrenching opposing viewpoints. Moreover, in countries like Myanmar, the consequences of algorithmic bias have been even more dire. Facebook, which serves as a primary news source for many in Myanmar, has been criticized for its role in spreading hate speech and inflammatory content against the Rohingya Muslim minority. The United Nations has noted that Facebook's algorithms played a role in fueling ethnic violence, underscoring the grave real-world implications of digital rage economies. Key figures have emerged in the battle against the unchecked power of these algorithms. Former Facebook insiders, such as Frances Haugen, have come forward as whistleblowers, shedding light on the inner workings of these companies. Haugen's testimony before the U.S. Congress in 2021 was a watershed moment, revealing that Facebook's leadership was aware of the harmful effects of its algorithms, but chose to prioritize growth over safety. Haugen's revelations have prompted a global call for more stringent regulations and ethical standards within the tech industry. The scientific community is also deeply engaged in examining the effects of algorithmic design on human behavior. Researchers from institutions like MIT and Stanford have been investigating how algorithms can influence ideological segregation online. Their findings suggest that algorithms often create echo chambers, where users are predominantly exposed to content that reinforces their existing beliefs. This intensifies ideological divides. Tech companies, in response to mounting pressure, have begun to explore ways to mitigate the negative impacts of their algorithms. Initiatives such as Twitter's Birdwatch program aim to crowdsource fact-checking. This allows users to flag and annotate misleading tweets. Similarly, Facebook has rolled out changes to its newsfeed algorithm. They claim to prioritize content from friends and family over sensationalist media. However, critics argue that these measures are insufficient. They often serve as mere public relations exercises rather than substantive change. As the debate over algorithmic accountability rages on, the role of artificial intelligence in content moderation has come under scrutiny. AI systems, while capable of processing vast amounts of data, often lack the nuanced understanding required to effectively moderate content. This has led to instances where benign content is mistakenly flagged while harmful material slips through the cracks. The limitations of AI highlight the need for human oversight. There is a need for the development of more sophisticated algorithms that can discern context and intent. The global conversation around social media algorithms is further complicated by the intersection of technology and geopolitics. In nations like China, state-controlled platforms operate with a different set of priorities. These platforms focus on censorship and information control. This contrasts sharply with the Western model, where platforms are driven by commercial interests. The divergence in approaches raises questions about the future of internet governance. There is potential for international regulatory frameworks. The complexity of the rage economy and its far-reaching implications continue to be a source of intense debate and investigation. As researchers, advocates, and policymakers delve deeper into the mechanics of algorithmic influence, the challenge remains: how to harness the power of technology for the greater good while mitigating its potential for harm. The search for solutions is ongoing, with the stakes growing ever higher as the digital world becomes increasingly intertwined with our everyday lives. The narrative of the rage economy is far from over. The next chapters will undoubtedly shape the future of both technology and society. As the digital landscape evolves, new players are stepping onto the stage. They seek to redefine the relationship between users and platforms. Emerging technologies such as blockchain and decentralized networks are being explored as potential solutions to mitigate the concentration of power in the hands of a few tech giants. These technologies promise to distribute control across a wider network, potentially reducing the ability of any single entity to manipulate content for profit. Simultaneously, legislative bodies around the world are grappling with the challenge of regulating social media platforms without stifling innovation or infringing on freedom of speech. The European Union's General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, has set a precedent for data privacy and accountability, inspiring similar legislative efforts globally. Meanwhile, discussions about imposing digital taxes and stricter content liability laws continue to gain traction. Public awareness and activism are also on the rise, as grassroots movements demand greater transparency and ethical standards from tech companies. Initiatives like the Stop Hate for Profit campaign, which calls for advertisers to boycott platforms that fail to curb hate speech, demonstrate the power of collective action to pressure corporations into ethical reform. The intersection of technology, society, and policy is a dynamic field, constantly evolving in response to new challenges and opportunities. As we navigate this complex landscape, the responsibility lies with all stakeholders, tech innovators, policymakers, and users alike, to shape a digital future that prioritizes human well-being over profit. In this rapidly changing environment, one truth remains steadfast. The dialogue around social media algorithms and their impact on our world is far from over.